first time in history, all 4 belts in the cruiserweight division will belong proudly around the waist of one man.
James Helder, Eiffel to BMTK Global. With me I've got trainer Dave Coldwell. We're here in Sheffield today. Big fight week, boxing returns. Firstly, how are you, Dave?
I'm very good. Yeah. It's always big fight weekends. I love them. Yeah, especially when it's in Sheffield as well.
I mean, you've got your man Gavin McDonald in action, taking on Gamal Yafai. Big test for Gamal, and certainly a big fight for Gav. So chance for him to prove that he should be the one people are getting behind. Talk to me a little bit about this fight.
It's a big fight from both. It's like, you know, you've said, it's a big test for Gamal Yafai. It's not so much a test for Gav. It's just it's a massive fight. It's a must-win fight for him. He's not had the fanfare. He's not had the big build-up. He's always had to, he's always kind of, so to speak, a little bit. He's been in his brother's shadow, and he'll be the first one to tell you that if his brother wasn't world champion, would he have got the opportunities he's had? Probably not. So he appreciates that, and every step that he's managed to take forward he understands what it means. So this fight for him is a must-win because, he got beat by Vargas. He got his world title opportunity, which to many, if you look at Gavin McDonnell, would you ever dream of him becoming a WBC world title challenger? Probably not. So he got his opportunity, came up against a very, very good fighter, didn't work out, got away, had a couple of little fights to bring himself back, and this is the one. If he loses this, then I can't see Eddie bringing him back again. I think it's a case of him boxing on small shows or retiring. So it's a must-win fight for Gav.
Him and Gamal Yafai, no doubt, have sparred some rounds in the gym. You're comfortable from watching that you believe that Gavin McDonald can do a job on Gamal Yafai?
Yeah, listen, you can't. There's so many stories in the past of big fights where fighters have sparred and people say, oh, this man's going to win because he had top side of the sparring, that man's going to get beat because he was getting it in sparring, and the fight turns around and it's completely different. So you can't read too much into it, but you take bits of it, and most importantly, the fighters, it doesn't matter what I think or Max thinks, the fighters, they take certain elements of that sparring. Again, it doesn't mean that they're guaranteed to win, but they have an understanding of what that man can do. Obviously, you look to do things a little bit different to spring a little bit of surprise in. They'll be doing the same as what Gav's been doing, working on different things. When was it? It was before the Vargas fight. So both fighters have progressed. Both fighters are different fighters now. So from round one, you'll see how the fight unfolds. Both men can win this fight. It's one of those. This is what's good about 50-50 fights, I think, is that you're not sitting on a fence, but you have to be able to appreciate how that man wins, how that man wins, and that makes make great fights.
Top of the bill, the return of the special one, Kell Brook against Sergey Rebchenko. How do you expect Kell Brook to look tomorrow?
I expect him to look very, very good. At 154, the extra £7 in weight, you don't understand when a fighter's struggling with weight, you don't understand what £1 or £2 difference makes. £7, he's gonna be comfortable, he's gonna be happy. He'll still have had to make, work to make that weight, but I expect him to be fully fueled, fully just cooking on gas. I expect him to be a better version of himself. Sometimes when you're struggling to make a weight, maybe your endurance isn't as good as what it could be. I expect his endurance to be good. His punch power will be better than what it was at 147. His reflex will be sharper. I think he'll be a better fighter all round.
Also on the card, big Rotherham derby, Atif Shafiq versus Lee Appleyard. I know you're a big face in Rotherham, Dave. So break that one down, break that fight down for me a little bit.
I think it's a really good fight. Again, the Yafai McDonald and Appleyard Shafiq fights, I think are the two best fights on the bill. The show stealers. Appleyard's very tall, very long, very rangy, very, very heavy-handed. If you look at him for the weight, he's massive, and he used to be a super featherweight. He's huge. But when he gets to work and he gets on his diet and he works in the gym with Ray Doyle and Steffi Bull, he's very, very focused, very, very intense, and gets the job done. He's a good fighter. We saw a little bit of him. Short notice job. He stepped in to fight Sean Dodd last year, and he gave a really good account of himself. I think the worst thing that happened in that fight was that I think it was round 1, he hurt Dodd, and so then he was tightening up. He loaded up for the rest of the fight. Dodd's experience got a hold of him, and Dodd, turned out winning. But he'll have learnt from that. He's come back. He's won an English title. He wants to become a champion. You believe in yourself more. It adds that little bit of percentage on top of your performances. Shafiq's a very, very slick operator. You'd expect that from the English gym, but he's one of those that slips under the radar. People that don't know him, they don't really talk about him.
Make or break for Ortiz Shafiq this fight?
100%, yeah, 100%. He's had a couple of losses, had a very bad injury that he's come back from. He's done really well to get back into the game, to be honest. And he knows that this is his opportunity. It's his big break. You say it's make or break, but as long as fighters learn from the losses, they can always come back. And I think he's quite young still, so he's still got plenty of time. It's his first his first major step up, really, in comparison to who he's been fighting before. I think it's a really good fight. It is a really good fight. Again, it's another fight where you can see how both men win the fight. If I was a neutral and I was sat there, you say he can win that way, he can win that way. It's one of those fights. But I believe that if Lee's mind's right and he doesn't get carried away, he's a massive ticket seller. If the occasion doesn't get to him, then I believe that Lee beats Latif Shafiq, and he could well stop him.
Across the pond in America, a couple of big fights going on as well. Sergey Kovalev in action against Igor Mikhalkin. Interesting fight, that one. And the fight that a lot of people have been speaking about, obviously Deontay Wilder defending his WBC strap against Luis Ortiz.
That's a good fight.
Interesting fight. Firstly, let's talk a little bit about Wilder Ortiz. How do you see that fight? You appreciate that fight?
I do appreciate that fight. It's unfortunate that it's happening because Ortiz has a couple of times failed his drugs test. He's a good fighter. He is a very good fighter, and it was quite disappointing when he did fail his drug test, because he felt that he was the sleeper in the division that was about to break through and shake things up a little bit. But in the time that's gone, he's back in boxing now, and he's got his shot. I think Wilder's going to go out there to make a statement. Ortiz he's got to be about 54 years old. His last couple of fights, he's looked about 54 years old. His feet have been slow, he's been a bit ponderous. I was very, very disappointed in him against Dave Allen and Malik Scott. He just, he wasn't he didn't have that ray of sunshine beaming down on him where he looked like a superstar of the division. That could be age catching up on him, or it could be motivation. This one looks like he's motivated because he looks like he's in fantastic shape. Looking at the bits of training footage that they've released, he looks in great shape. He does look sharp, he does look fast, and he's a very, very intelligent boxer. He's a good fighter, picks his punches very, very well. What I would say is I believe that he's technically the better boxer out of the two, but in Wilder he faces a man that's bigger, longer, singularly a harder puncher, and very, very unpredictable. He throws shots that you don't see coming. You look at when he boxed Stavern last. He nailed him with that first right hand. Stavern went down, got up, looked like he was all right to carry on, and then as Wilder run onto him, takes a little dart to the right, comes in with a couple of shots, and he didn't see the uppercut that nearly took his head off. He throws shots from here, there, and everywhere. Wild, like his name. But they land, and some of them land. When they land, they're spectacular. When they miss, it looks terrible. So technically, Ortiz is the better fighter, but can he employ the technique and the better boxing brain onto somebody like Wilder with Wilder's style and Wilder's attributes. I don't know if he can. I think Wilder beats him. I think Wilder does him in about 5 or 6 rounds. One thing about Cuban boxers, they're very, very intelligent, but they tend to seem to always have things their own way all the way through, and then a lot of times when things don't go right for them, mentally they fold. You know, some of them have quit, some of them just go into a shell. You don't know what you're getting with a Cuban fighter. You can either get a fantastic Cuban fighter or one that is a bit of a letdown. So we're gonna see which one, you know, Luis Ortiz is.
Did you happen to catch any of Deontay Wilder's videos over the last couple of days on IFL TV? And if
No.
so, what were your thoughts on some of his comments?
I haven't, not as yet, because I've been a bit busy getting things ready for Gavin and what have you and other things. But I'm looking forward to watching this, because I only got told earlier on today something that Wilder said, and I was a little bit like, really? So, what are you alluding to?
Well, just the sort of the controversy regarding his comments regarding Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, something about. Am I right if I'm right in saying it? Did he not say something about he's just a white man feeding a black man or something like that? Is that what he said?
Something along those lines. I haven't got it quote for quote, but the video is up on IFL TV
Right.
for people to watch.
When I got told it, I was like, wow, really? There's no need to bring in stuff like that. There's no need to bring in speaking about race and stuff like that. It's just, if you want to talk, it's just it's like every other promoter, you know, building up a fighter and if you want to say it, you're a promoter feeding a fighter, you know. But I think in the dynamics of that relationship, yes, Matchroom and Sky have done you can't knock them. They've done a fantastic job on building the Joshua brand and getting the right fights and building up, you know, taking around the country and filling out arenas. But in the beginning, the promoter does a great job on getting a fighter out there. Once you get the fighter out there, the fighter then has to have the personality and the nous to be able to run with it and then live in that bubble that the promoter's created and expand it. And in Anthony Joshua, he has. So they're feeding each other. You know, I think now you look at how big the brand of AJ is. It's huge. It's massive. It's got to be, you know, it's got to be without doubt the biggest name in boxing globally, and he's rapidly, you know, foraging that path into the whole of sports. He look at the arenas that he's selling out now that he's fighting in. Look at, you walk down the street. Myself and my daughter were in New York. We're walking down past Times Square, and you see a big billboard with AJ's face on it in New York. Then we went on holiday to Florida. You go in Under Armour in Florida, and it's AJ all over the place. You know, his name now and his face is now recognisable everywhere because he's run with it. If he hadn't been able to fight, and if he didn't win the fights that he's been put in, then you can do all the promoting they want. It doesn't happen. And number two, if he didn't have a personality, and if he didn't have the persona that he has got, and especially in front of the media, how he is, and how he is with the fans and everything, then he wouldn't have took off. So it's a bit of both, you know. They fed each other, really, to be honest.
In camp with Tony Bellew, he is as passionate as ever. What do you think he would make of Luis Ortiz in particular getting a world title shot?
I know. Listen, same as me. I don't believe he should be fighting out for a world title. He's failed twice, you know. But this is how it is. If the sanctioning bodies rank you, if you fail drug test, simple. If the sanctioning bodies don't rank you, you won't get another fight. You won't get another crack at world title. If they rank you, you're gonna get a crack. If you keep winning, you're gonna get a crack because you rank. If you're number one for the title, you're gonna get a crack. So ultimately, it's the sanctioning body's fault that he gets another world title shot because he's failed drug tests. He's come back in and he's being ranked, so he gets his shot. the fighter's not going to give up their world title fight, the world title belt, because they're not going to fight him out of being, sticking to the principles. And like that. Of course they're going to fight him because that's their title. They've worked for it, and it's also the reason why they're getting paid so much money that they're getting. So it's down to the sanctioning bodies. As for what, I mean, Bellew absolutely hates it. He'll hate it, but it doesn't. People think that he gets too irate about it. He's just voicing his opinion. That's it. He's just saying how it is. But at the moment, it's not affecting his life. So it's not the all and end all to him. He doesn't just constantly think about things like that. He gets on with his own shit, and if you ask him a question about that, or if something pops up, then he'll voice his opinion. Do you know what I mean? But he's not sat at home with a voodoo doll, a Luis Ortiz, and every other jug cheat out there, and sticking pins in him. He doesn't live like that. He's got a few other things going on in his life.
Speaking of which, May the 5th, Bellew Haye 2, very exciting rematch. Do you believe Tony Bellew will win the rematch more convincingly than he did the first fight?
I believe it'll have a more conclusive ending, and yes, Bellew wins. I think it'll be I think it's going to be. I'm quite excited about it. I think it's going to be a much more dangerous fight for both men. Because I think both men are going to be better than they were the first time round. I think Haye's going to be in phenomenal shape. He's always in phenomenal shape, but I think he's boxing ability-wise, he's gone back to that. And so I think he's going to be, faster, sharper, triggering, twitching, better feet. Bellew's going to be better. Bellew's working on his boxing ability. He's not just going to go in there. People go on about that, how Bellew couldn't get rid of him when he had one leg. I've said it before, you can't account for emotions in fights. Once a fighter gets emotionally charged up and emotionally involved into a fight, it's very, very hard to get him to see things clearly and pick the right spots, pick the right punches, when to go, when not to go. You see a man fall apart in front of you, you just get this glaze in front of your eyes thinking, it's done, he's gone, and you just want to pour everything into it. That's what he did. And he threw absolutely everything at Haye in the 6th, 7th round. But in a tense, clubbing, methodical manner, rather than still being sharp, picking his shots and throwing the right punches at the right time. He was just winging away at him. So that is gonna drain you. It's gonna make you tired. And for the rest of the fight, it was just forcing everything out. Again, like I said, it's a circumstance that comes up that you can't prepare for going into it. Now he's experienced that. If anything like that was happening at any fight again, he's got a point of reference. So when he comes back to Conor, I said, listen, you can't do this, you can't do that, because remember last time you were terrible. Right, okay, switches back on. That's how fighters deal with things. It's like if you don't make mistakes in sparring, then you've got no point of reference when you go out there. If you can see a fighter making the same mistakes what he did in sparring that led to him getting it with a good right hand or whatever in sparring, if he starts doing it in a fight, if he didn't get hit with that right hand in sparring, you might think he can still get away with it. But then you come back and say, listen, you're dropping that left hand, rah rah rah. Remember when you got caught with that right hand against so-and-so? Right, it's a point of reference, so we switch on. Think, okay, let me think a little bit. Bellew's got a point of reference now on what happens when he lets his emotions just take complete control.
Now, the first press conference for the rematch wasn't as explosive or as sort of back and forth as the first encounter was. Yeah. Do you feel that David Haye's been humbled a little bit by that first defeat? And secondly, do you think we'll see as pressure builds, as they sort of get closer to the date, do you think he'll be sort of back sort of trading?
I just think that that David Haye was not humbled, but shocked and surprised at how his tact for the first fight, being really aggressively nasty as such, backfired on him because he was getting booed, and I think that shocked him. He cares about what fans think. He cares what people think of him. He likes to be loved, and I think he was shocked by that. And so it was almost immediately in the ring. as the first fight ended, how he was speaking very, very humbly, and you know, if you oblige me with a rematch and all that sort of stuff, you know, he's very, very clever. He's very media savvy. How he can just flick it, and he's run with it. People reacted really well to him in a positive way, how he took his defeat, and he's run with that character and that persona. But at the press conference tables, you can see him how he wants to go. Do you know what I mean? He wants to go. Listen, Bellew can wind without trying. I'm not saying he was trying to wind him up. Bellew's not trying to wind him up, but just Bellew's persona can wind you up, because it's just how he is. You know, sometimes it can. Those that are close to him, he can wind you up because he's never wrong, even when he is. But that's just how he is. We all have little things about us, personalities, that can wind certain people up. And Bellew is very, very good at just being himself and just not being afraid to say what he wants to say. And sometimes that can wind people up. And Haye just gets ate up by him, you know. But I think it's just that it's the tack that Haye's going for. He's going for the good guy. He's going, you know, so people are patting him on the back. He'll get cheered into the ring, hoping that Tony ends up being the bad man. But ultimately, does it make any difference when Bellew goes? Nah, not really. But as far as the fight build-up's concerned, he's not interested in the build-up this time round. He's not playing a character of sipping cocktails on a yacht. He's not playing that character. That was bullshit last time. He had the yacht for 6 hours. Do you know what I mean? It was just to put out that persona. He took the fight seriously. He was training in Miami. He was training hard. People that spoke to that were out there, he was training hard, you know. But now he's do you know what I will say? The press conference the other day, he looks in a good place. He looks in a good place. I think the coach that he's got is good for him. For mentally, is good for him. Yeah, he's in a good place. But ultimately, once they go in there and they start getting punched in the face, we'll see what happens.
Funny old game boxing. 7 years ago, I can sort of remember you being a key part of the Haymaker team, sort of working closely with David. 6 years after that, he calls you Penfold,
yeah.
And here you are now, the next year planning potentially what could be his downfall, if you like, at the end of his boxing career.
It's crazy. You never know where you're going to end up in this game. Listen, if you want to take it further than that, people like to mock me for it. My record as a fighter is shit. If you'd have looked when I was a fighter and say he's going to end up being a trainer, being a manager, promoting shows, he's going to be heavily involved in the sport. Nah. If you look before that when I was at school, nobody thought I'd do anything. So you never know where you're going to be in this, and this is why it's such a... You can never ever write anybody off. You can have an opinion and think, nah, he's not going to do anything. You can't be 100% sure. There's no such thing as a surefire fail, a surefire hit. There is no such thing, because you just don't know. Some people, they can lose, they can learn from and come back. You know, some people have just got people's numbers. A lot of it depends on psychologically as well. You just don't know where you're going to be in this sport. And yeah, 7 years ago I was part of Haymaker. Now I'm not. But it's only like a football manager. Mourinho is at Chelsea. A couple of seasons later, he's beating Chelsea. That's part of the job. That's what goes with it.
Go on, Dave Mourinho. Let's get involved. What advice would you give to any sort of young trainers out there that you know, sometimes the training could be a thankless task. They put in many hours, sometimes before and after, before going to a sort of 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to any sort of young trainers out there?
Know what you want to do, know how you want to do things, and stick with it. If you're willing to work hard and you're willing to put the hours in and know, regardless of what people want to say to you, if you're willing to do it, if you're willing to take the setbacks and learn from good people that are around you. You know, I was fortunate. I've come across, I've worked in corners with some good trainers. You know, I didn't just start off training Tony Bellew. I think a lot. I've said this before. A lot of the Twitter generation think that I only popped up with Tony Bellew.
Can you list some of the trainers that you've worked with and learned bits off of?
Way back, obviously I started with Brendan Ingle, so I've seen Brendan work in a gym for years. Then I had, in my gym, when I had my first gym, I had a gym that after me, I had Howard Rainey come in and train his fighters in the gym. So you got Howard Rainey around you. I was house second for Frank Warren shows. So I'd been a corner, people love to mock this. This is why I'm very proud of being a bucket man. Very proud, because I learned a lot of shit from holding that bucket away from my face like that and listening to what people like Jimmy Tibbs would be talking to his fighters, Billy Nelson, so many off the top of my head, I can't remember them all. But I used to do the house seconds for fighters, for corners. So I'm listening and you're seeing how different coaches talk to different fighters and how some fighters need a bollocking, some fighters need loving almost and talking in a really nice way. Some fighters, they need to, you feed them in and things aren't going wrong, then you have to give them a bollocking. I've seen it with all people like that. But then a great part of my experience and what I picked up was when I did start working with Haymaker and working with Adam Booth. So I learned a lot on the business side, I learned a lot on the coaching side, and just how you deal with fighters and remaining calm under duress sort of things. So I learned a lot from that. But then a lot of what I learned of as well was working with my journeyman. Again, I didn't just start off with fighters. A lot of people like to resent you because they think, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that, oh, we like to see you working with this fighter, that fighter. I worked with journeymen, you know. I had people like Daniel Thorpe, Paul Royston, Dean Walker. I had a lot of kids that were just away fighters, and when you've got fighters like your Daniel Thorpes fighting Kevin Mitchells and Gavin Reeses and Amir Khans and people like that, your job is to protect them, to look after them, and to negate them through a minefield, because the guy in front of them is a top prospect, a champion, looking to blow them out. So
that was Rocky Fielding, man.
So you've got to get them through that, and that takes a lot of learning, because you've got to be able to read him. You've got to be able to know when he's just about to get tanked here, pull him out. You've got to look after fighters.
I think that helped you in your reading of a fight, learning 100%. When to sort of tell your fighter to step on, when to tell him to box.
Also, you understand that fighters are going to get hurt. Whether you're a journeyman or you're a champion, you're going to get hurt in a point in a fight, possibly. But when you get hurt, you've got to know how to react. You've got to know what to do, and so you've got to try and instill that into your fighter. The fighter's got to listen to you. He's got to understand what to do. But if you can work, you know, I've done the whole driving up to Scotland for a kid that's getting 600 quid, you know, getting back at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I've done all that sort of stuff. Now I'm in nice hotels on big shows. It's fantastic. It really is. But I've done all that sort of stuff as well. So I don't make any apologies for being involved in big fights now. You know, I've been in boxing 27 years. You know, I had my first gym in 2000. So it's not like I've just walked straight into it. It's took a long road, really. And I'm 42. If I can't have a bit of success and enjoy things at 42, fucking hell. Do you know what I mean? It's what it is. You know. So I've learned a lot off a lot of good people, a lot of good coaches, and through my own experiences dealing with fighters and bringing them through. And it's been a good ride, and I've learned a lot. But do I know it all? No, I still don't know more than people that are in this room. You know, all I'm bothered about is as long as the fighters that I work with are happy with what I'm doing, as long as we keep moving forward, that's all that matters to me. Whether people think I know what I'm talking about or I don't, whether people think I'm a good trainer or a shit trainer, Doesn't matter. It's all opinions. Opinions don't matter. It's like before a fight. You ask me, who do I think is going to win a fight? I say fighter A, you think fighter B. Just because I say fighter A don't mean it's going to happen. It's just an opinion at that moment. And sometimes we change opinions as fights get. Ultimately, they don't mean anything. It's the results that matter.
All right. Well, Dave Coldwell, thank you very much for coming to iFL TV. Unless there's anything you would like to add before we sort of vacate.
No, just keep on watching iFL TV.
Thanks for your time today, Dave. I much appreciated. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
First time in history, all 4 belts in the cruiserweight division will belong proudly around the waist of one man.